So just heads up for folks who are participating today. We are recording tonight's meeting, and it's going to be on our cloud. So if you please don't share it because we want to be able to, just this is a training for folks who registered. So it'll be available for y'all for your review after the meeting. So just, it's for your own personal viewing. So yeah, we'll have it up for a month or so for you to review. Hello, Yan.
Hi, Yan.
Just wait one more minute and then we're going to get started. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for showing up this evening and sharing your evening with us to enrich our minds. My name is Christopher Fornan. I am the project director of Santa Ana Active Streets, and with my colleague, Dorian Romero, project coordinator. She's probably been hearing from her as she's been trying to, coordinate and get participants to join on for tonight. So thank you, Dorian, for helping, let people know about this event. We're going to be doing a presentation on Street Story that folks from UC Berkeley Safe Trek will be presenting on. And I'll let them introduce themselves, do a little brief introduction at least for Jara. And we're going to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown real quick before we get into that presentation about SAS. So before we get into even before we get into the class or even our introduction, is that I want to make sure to let you know that this class was made possible with funding from the California Office of Traffic Safety, a statewide organization that fund programs around education encouragement. And so we were able to secure this funding to bring this, coordinate this workshop for y'all today. This program is also part of the Active Transportation Leadership Program. It's a kind of overarching program where we, bring a bunch of different kind of programs like our bike and helmet light distribution events, our bike classes, and we mix it up with also education, learning a little bit about the basics of active transportation, bike knowledge skills, how to ride safely on the streets. And then we actually have some advocacy events that are going to be coming up. And it's all basically trying to build new leaders as active transportation leaders. So this is one of those components. This event is one of those components of that, kind of educating ourselves in how we advocate for our communities. And before we, and one thing I'd like to acknowledge is that we take a moment to acknowledge that the land that we are currently in, and acknowledge the original stewards of the area, which include the Achaman and Taungoo-Kish and a variety of smaller groups of people. They have been the stewards of this land of the Orange County region for centuries, and they continue to be and still exist. And wanting to acknowledge that they are also folks that we try to work with as well, even in the work of transportation and planning and all this. And so making sure that they are definitely at the forefront of a lot of this work. So Santa Ana Active Streets is a community-based coalition with the mission of cultivating diverse community participation in creating a safe and accessible environment for active transportation in Santa Ana. We've been around since 2013, and really we try to empower residents to become engaged participants in active transportation in Santa Ana. And we do that by hosting events, partnering with local groups, and working directly with city officials, decision makers, and staff. And we try to do that by centering community. And whether, if you've been to any of our kind of events, or we always end up actually getting a lot of new faces, and we try to do make sure that we're centering community voices. So we're also refining our projects with community feedback, but also making sure that community members are the ones that are leading the projects and leading the ideas and the idea development in all the work that we do. If it's stuff about like feedback that we want to give to the city, we're always making sure that the community members are the ones that are leading, but also are the ones that are giving having their voices heard in actually sharing their feedback. And we try to facilitate as much as possible and as best as we can. We have 3 pillars in how we go about our work. They focus around educate, activate, and advocate. And activate falls under the kind of cornerstone of a lot of our work where we activate community, activate space. That includes our helmet and light distribution events. That includes some of our bike rides, our community walks. And the idea is that we want to try to change also the culture and the image of what biking and walking means in the city. In the city of Santa Ana, half the population don't have ownership of a vehicle, of an automobile. And so a lot of folks rely and need to walk or bike to actually get to their destinations. So this is just another way, so it's a visible image of how we're actually changing that culture, just one person on the street at a time. So that's it for my introduction. I'm going to now introduce Jara. So Jara Crowder works with UC Berkeley SafeTrack, and she's going to be leading our workshop for today on Street Story. So thank you so much. I'm going to get this going. And there you are. So take it away, Jara.
Thank you, Chris. Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jara Crowner, and I am with UC Berkeley SafeTrack, this safe Transportation Research and Education Center, and it has been in existence for over 20 years now. Again, thank you, Dorian and Christopher and the rest of the Santa Ana Active Streets team for inviting us to give this training. At the initial training, a brief overview of Street Story was given by my colleague who's here with us today, Garrett Fortin. But today, I will go more in detail about the tool and provide a step-by-step tutorial on how to use the tool to promote engagement in the community. Next slide. Thank you. So what is Street Story? Street Story helps community groups and agencies collect and understand information that is important for transportation safety, but is difficult to gather and analyze. And let's take a step back. What is crowdsourcing? Crowdsourcing is a data collection method that uses collective knowledge to meet organizational or research-oriented goals. This method is used to gather information, solve problems, and generate and prioritize ideas. Crowdsourcing requires community involvement to collect data, and outcomes generated from this approach must directly benefit the community. So Street Story is an online crowdsourcing tool that allows community groups and agencies to collect local information about transportation collisions, near misses, general hazards, as well as safe locations to travel. The online platform and the information collected within the tool is free to use and publicly accessible. So we know that cities and counties use collision data to decide where to make improvements, but they may not show where people are walking and biking. And they don't relay local knowledge about where it's safe to go, and it also may not relay info about what the hazards are. We only learn about what's in the police report, and we know there's more. So this is where Street Story comes in. It allows for feedback from community members that otherwise we wouldn't have access to. And then organizations and agencies can use this information as a part of community needs assessments, transportation, safety planning efforts, or evaluation. Next slide, thank you. So how do we access Street Story? To access the Street Story tool, you can go to streetstory.berkeley.edu, and you'll see this screen where you can enter the area you would like to provide information about. You can enter information in a city, county, tribal, or unincorporated area in the state of California. Next slide. Okay. The online platform is also available in Spanish, and I just wanted to show you the image here. So this is how you would get to the Spanish version with this link at the top. Next slide, please. So we also do have paper versions of the Street Story tool if you're interested in using this in the community. Instead, the paper version is color coded by report type. And to learn more about the paper version, you can send me an email. Next slide. Okay, so after you decide if you want to enter information into a city, county, tribal, or unincorporated area, you will hit next and it will take you to this screen where you'll be asked whether you want to make a report using a point or a specific location or street or line. Use a point if you're reporting a specific address or intersection, and use the line if you're reporting a section of a road. Next slide. So I know something you all have been working on in Santa Ana is improvements around Main and McFadden Avenue. So I took a screenshot of that just to show you how you can enter in information in that around that area. So once you decide whether or not you wanted to select a location or a point, then you will be guided to this screen. I selected a point. As you can see, at the intersection of Main and McFadden, and then you see 4 different report types on the right-hand side. So you can report a crash, a near miss, a hazard, or a safe place to travel. Once you decide that, you click next. And based on the type of report you're making, you'll be asked a set of questions about what happened. You can answer as many or as few of those questions as you would like. And once you're done, you would click submit or add another location if you want to keep reporting. So the information we collect is quantitative and qualitative data, which can help traffic engineers, research planners, and organizations paint the complete picture of what challenges and changes need to take place in a specified area. Each report type asks a different set of questions, but at the end of each survey, each user is asked to describe what happened at a specific location or intersection, which we call the narratives. And if you look on the screen, you'll see this is question 7. So at the end of each report type, you would see question 7, which asks what happened without providing any identifying information, excuse me. Users are able to report exactly what happened at the place. They may have experienced a crash, near miss, hazard, or even a safe place that they want to report on to, tell other people that this is actually a safe street or intersection to travel on. Next slide. So after you answer the set of questions for the report type you selected, you will then be asked to go through a set of demographic questions. And again, you can answer as many or as few of these questions as you would like. So all of the information reported, as I mentioned earlier, is made publicly available on the site. To see the information, you can click see data and you'll see all of the information in two maps and tables. The maps and tables can be downloaded using buttons at the top. You'll see a print or download report button at the top of the report page. Several things I wanted to show you here. At the very top left-hand corner, for someone who may want the Spanish version, you can change the report page to Spanish. Also, where you see optional narrow down your reports by date, you have the option to narrow down for a specific time frame. If you just wanted it for the year of 2020 or from the start of this year up to now, you're able to do that on the report page. Also, you see here are two different maps. On the left map, we have the crash and near miss reports. And on the right map, hazards and safe places. And as you can see, this information is color coded as well. And also, as you can see, we don't have that many reports in Santa Ana City. Only 4 have been reported, and 3 of those are crashes and 1 near miss. And you can see that on the left-hand side of the report. Also, when you click on those dots, if you go to the platform and click on those dots, you can see the narratives. If somebody decided to report a narrative or write a narrative when they were answering the survey questions, you can see what they were saying. And you'll also see exactly where they reported this information on this map. And like I said, all of this can be printed or downloaded. Next slide. Also, this is still information for Santa Ana. Again, we can see there are only a total of 4 reports that have been submitted. All of this information, again, is downloadable. If you see the icons to the right of each table and chart allows you to download this information into an Excel spreadsheet. Also, you can download the information, the reports by mode. And again, we can see here, most of the modes reported out of the 4 were by biking. It was involved in biking, and whatever crash or near miss there was, a bike was involved in that incident. What else we can see here? It tells, let's see, the crash or near miss cause was either poor missing bike lanes or paths, people don't yield, some other event. But all of this information can be downloaded and used for, like I said, needs assessments or any transportation safety planning efforts. Okay, all of the demographic information is available for communities where 50 or more people have made a report. So because only 4, and I kept this image, this isn't from Santa Ana, but I wanted you to see what the demographic information looked like on a final report page. But if I took a clip or an image from Santa Ana, there wouldn't be any information because under 50 people have made a report. But if you would like access to the information and it isn't available on the website, you can request it by sending us an email. So within the last year or so, we have added some features to the platform. One of the features we added was a question around micromobility, which allows users to report safety issues when using new transportation technologies like shared bikes and e-scooters. Another feature we've added is a question around infrastructure improvement, which we have received a substantial amount of feedback on within the last year, where users answer questions about what would make them feel safer in their communities. And the questions reflect on improvements like more stop signs, better sidewalks, etc. And the last feature I'd like to discuss is the custom boundary feature. It allows applicants to create a custom boundary in a specified area to share specifically with the members of that community. Each member receives a link and can begin entering information into the tool And all of this information can be found under resources on the site. And just to discuss the custom boundary feature a little more, say there's a specific neighborhood or area within Santa Ana that you all wanted to receive feedback from the community who lives in the area, you can create a custom boundary on using this feature. And like I said, it generates a link that you directly share with that community. And once they click on that link, they're already set to where they're supposed to report within that area that you drew out, within that boundary. So it's a really great feature. So how can we use Street Story in the field? Next slide. Thank you. How can we use Street Story in the field? We can do a walk audit. You can plan a short walk with a group of 5 to 15 members. Take notes on locations where people feel safe, unsafe, or have experienced a crash or near miss in the past. And then convene at a location where group members can spend time recording information onto the Street Story website. Again, the tool can be introduced and used in various settings. And you can do a virtual walk audit. We had to get really creative within the last year, and you can use a virtual, you can use any platform to do a virtual walk audit. And one thing we used was Google's Google Maps, was just the Google Street View. And it may not be up to date, but usually the community members know their areas to know if some improvements have been made within the last 5 years or so in a specified area. So it's a good tool to have to use if you decide to do a virtual walk audit. And for this, you would need to go back for me. Yeah. Okay. 4 steps you would need to achieve a walk audit, a virtual walk audit. While using Street Story is to introduce Street Story to the group of attendees, including types of information collected. Again, plan the short walk, or like I said, you can do the virtual walk assessment using Google Maps. Return to the meeting and spend about 15 to 20 minutes recording this information collected using the online version, and then spend about 10 minutes reviewing the data that was inputted. Materials you will need for this is a location with reliable Wi-Fi access, computers or tablets, and note-taking supplies. And of course, if people aren't comfortable with using tablets or they don't have Wi-Fi access, this is where you can ask for us to send you the paper versions to jot down reports. Okay, how else can you use Street Story in the field? Next slide. Is at a community meeting. Thank you. You'll convene at a location where meeting attendees can spend time recording their experiences on the Street Story website, and then review the input made with meeting attendees. In this picture here, you can see this community was more comfortable using the paper versions, but then even if you use the paper versions, the information still has to be inputted into the online platform. If you're leading a training, you can do that, or you can do it together with the meeting attendees, or if you would feel more comfortable with us doing it, you can scan and email us the paper versions, or mail it, whatever works best for the community and the trainer. And you can also do this in a virtual setting. You can hold a meeting where community members can discuss their transportation, safety experiences, and spend time recording information on the Street Story website. This can happen at a community center, a school, library, health center, etc. You can review the information collected with the meeting attendees. And so what you would need for this location, again, with reliable Wi-Fi access, computers or tablet, note-taking supplies. And again, if you're not comfortable with using the online platform on a computer, tablet, or even your mobile device, we do have those paper versions available for you. Another way you can use Street Story in the field, next slide. Thank you. Is that a community event? You can bring Street Story to existing community events, including farmer markets, open street events, or health fairs. And also, there are a lot of virtual community events happening that you can present the tool at for about 5 to 10 or 15 minutes. including farmer markets, open street events, or health fairs. Ask attendees to provide input or hand out flyers with street story information. And what you see here is an image of team members set up at an outside event with the paper versions at the table, just telling people about the street story and giving them the option then to fill out, a report. So like I said, you can bring this to existing community events where you ask attendees to provide information using a tablet or computer or their mobile device, or hand out the flyers with street story information, and ask them to input the information on the website at home. What would you need for this? Street story flyers, the paper versions, tablet, location with reliable Wi-Fi access, and note-taking supplies. And suggested time for this in an open event as such would take about 5 to 10 minutes just to explain what the tool is and give them some information if they don't have time to enter in at that moment. Okay. So now I will discuss some resources. We have on the website, there's a starter kit that explains how you can use the street story tool when interacting with your community members, and flyer templates that you can use to share information about street story. You can also make your own flyer that's specific to your community, and you can also use the kit. You can also access this kit via Street Story on the actual Street Story platform, or you can go to our webpage on the SafeTrack site. Okay. Next slide, please. In March, SafeTrack's Focus Cities program, led by Garrett, held the first webinar of the year, which focused on how 3 different communities in the state have improved in engagement and infrastructure using the Street Story platform. So we had representatives from Bike Bakersfield organization in Bakersfield, the city of Altadena, and an organization from Sacramento called Walk Sacramento. Each of the communities have found creative ways to interact with their communities. And you can learn more by watching the webinar on YouTube, and I included the link here. It's a very rich webinar. You hear about people using it for infrastructure improvements or just how to engage their communities. And also in Walk Sacramento, they're using it at West Sacramento High School, I believe, for a small class, and it's in collaborations with their Safe Route School program. And so they're doing like a final project using the tool. So check out the webinar if you can, to give you more ideas on how to engage with residents in Santa Ana. Okay. Additional resources, there is a step-by-step tutorial video on YouTube, and you can share that with your communities to show you exactly how to go through the tool, how to submit a report. The second resource I have listed here is a YouTube video of how other communities, such as Bike Bakersfield and Humboldt County, have used the tool in their work. And this is pre-pandemic, that video. But the webinar that I just mentioned discussed a lot of how they have used the tool since the start of the pandemic. Okay, and the last feature I have here, if you want to read more about the features I discussed earlier around infrastructure improvements, micromobility, and custom boundary feature, this last link will take you to that news page on the SafeTrack website. And if you have any other questions about using Street Story in your work, feel free to send me an email. We have resources to offer trainings or one-on-one support to communities who are using the tool. And this project and tool and platform is funded by a grant from the California Office of Traffic Safety. Thank you all.
So we had a question in chat, excuse me, about data. I don't know if Pankaj, if you want to restate it or if it's just there in chat. It was about, oh, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so I just searched apparently Los Angeles didn't have that much data point, but I went to Berkeley, and Berkeley has enough to look at demographics. When you export to an Excel, I noticed that the demographic information doesn't come with it. Is there any way of getting also demographic information?
Yes, we can pull that information for you and send it to you.
Got it. So
Yeah.
I'm at Cal Poly Pomona. I'm a senior, and I know a fellow classmate that's doing her project on designing safer cities for women in particular, and non-binary people. And like this is a really cool
Awesome.
map. This is a really cool mapping tool. And she had like the demographic information. You can do like a quick geo-analysis and see if there's spots where women find where women feel safe and don't feel safe, and then also look at crime data to see if there is a correlation between that. And then it's just such a cool tool. Yeah. No, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we just did as Dorian was saying, we just did a workshop, and one of our thing was looking at mobility, and in our breakout room we were looking at like how to safely go through travel through Santa Ana. And like I don't know if we would have been able to use this, but this is such like a simple tool for mapping those points, and just yeah.
What was the name of the organization you just mentioned about the lady doing for safe streets for non-binary communities and
She's a fellow classmate.
women?
She's also at Cal Poly Pomona. We're in our senior project prep course where we're just doing our literature thing, and so she was finding ways of like getting these data points and how to ask women in particular what parts of the city you find safe and why you find them safe. But like this is just like so easy to pinpoint those areas and just get like a bunch of like data points and then do a bit of analysis through ArcGIS and then find these hotspots and see why are like these areas unsafe and why do women feel unsafe in these areas or safe in those areas. And you can do that just so simply with this tool, because in the Excel I noticed that you guys provide the latitude and longitude, so you can easily just convert this to point data.
Yes.
And so now this is amazing. Where have you guys been?
Yeah, and I wanted to say that I don't know that we've looked at that particular question via the demographics. So usually we're looking at like issues of like representation, which also is obviously sort of like all baked in, right? It's a huge part of the question as well. But yeah, I don't ever know if we've looked at like gender patterns in
We haven't.
like safe or unsafe or anything. So, but I believe it, absolutely.
And I would say in terms of like in our path, we've actually done some like transportation or like active transportation as a form of sanctuary or transit as sanctuary workshops. And I remember it was a pretty heavy presentation, but I think almost all the women at during that discussion just talked about like they just don't want to be like creeped on. So it's like there's this sense of security and safety in terms of being a woman or queer and having a different experience. So it's like I think having that gendered or just that kind of demographic playing that role of what safety means, or at least it's something that comes up for us, has come up in the past. I wanted to ask in terms of the had a question about the what is it, the custom boundary tool. So that custom boundary, it basically localizes, because I know that we always have a lot of neighborhoods that are like, oh, like we have some, we should be doing something in the Willard neighborhood or in the Artesia Pilar neighborhood. So I think that's really great. So we can I really cater to all those neighborhoods that get really involved and really want to do stuff. I was curious though, I guess it would localize it, but then they would still have to put the lines or the spot points, right? When they're actually filling out the
but
data.
only within that boundary.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
questions? And I think that's the great thing about the tool. There's so much that can be analyzed as far as the qualitative data, the quantitative data, the percentage of users in the state, the percentage of narratives collected over, the course of its existence, the percentage of improvement suggestions. I think us as a team, we're just starting to see how much information the tool really holds and how it can be used in multiple ways, from local organizations to state agencies. And I think that's the beauty of the tool.
I didn't catch, but I guess I think it was. I think when you were talking about the two sides of, or like the two maps, can you also change, like focus in on data like from a time frame too? So like only 2019 or 2018.
Yes.
Okay.
At the top of the report page, you'll see an optional bar, and it says narrow your date down. And once you pull the bar down, you can narrow the dates.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think me and Dorian were talking in the private message right now. We're like, we should totally do, we do helmet and light distribution events, and we do them at high injury and honestly fatality like intersections where folks get hit, by car, they're walking, biking. And so we could totally see this being used in those events. We always complain where it's like, it's great to give a bike lane a helmet, but we need to move that kind of progress forward, and getting this kind of data is extremely helpful. And we hear stories all, like here and there where people like, oh yeah, we hear there's a lot of fast cars moving in this intersection or near misses and stuff, but we're never collecting it. And this is definitely one of those things that's like, oh, maybe that's what we could do, like as we're setting up at these intersections.
Yeah, because we explained the reason why we're at the intersection with the people that come up to get the materials, and probably half the time the people do say, oh yeah, I almost got hit here before. Mm-hmm. So they say it's good that you're here. So I think we should definitely use this at our future events.
And like I said, people can pull up the platform on their mobile device. We don't have an application, but you can go to your search engine and type in streetstory.berkeley.edu and make a report on your phone. So yeah, if you're wanting to set up in intersections and you don't have the paper versions, or even if you do and people say, well, I can just do it here on my phone, they have the option to do so.
And it's pretty user friendly, the mobile, like even if it's a mobile. Yes. Awesome. Okay, cool.
Now, I think we've had maybe 1 or 2 complaints about Android users with the platform, but other than that, it's fine.
Okay. I'm an Android user, but I'll test it out.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. Good to know. I guess, yeah, if there's no other questions, thank you, Jara. Thank you for the presentation, and definitely I think we're going to be hopefully using this in our SAS, in the SAS work and stuff, and definitely want to share this with all the different volunteers as well. So I'm gonna just to kind of close out, just make a couple last announcements.
Can I say something quickly?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
If you all want more trainings, we are able to do so. And if you all want to discuss like outreach methods or anything like that, we can discuss that as well, So just keep us posted on everything and let us know how we can help moving forward.
We really appreciate that. Yeah, I think we're at least excited to try to see if we can use this. So, and so I think we'll definitely take you all up on that. So appreciate that. Yeah. So tomorrow we have our Luces Vivas event. So we still have some spots open where we need some volunteers. So if anybody is in the Santa Ana area and they are available tomorrow, we'll be set up from 3 to 5:30 p.m. at the Harbor and First intersection. Yeah, Harbor and First intersection. So shoot an email to Dorian or shoot her a text message. And everybody at this presentation, we want to invite you to a SAS community celebration. If you've been a part of our bike rides, if you've been a part of this data workshop or the street story workshop, if you've been a part of our bike classes, we want to basically say thank you to everybody that has joined and be able to just kind of say like, you know, it's been a crazy year to do all these programs, but it's been a lot of fun doing even our virtual bike ride. We had a lot more people than we thought we were going to have. Like, so that was pretty awesome. So we want to basically just make a space for folks to kind of celebrate just participation, but also to share their experience of what their experience was being on the road. Like, I think a lot of people got onto the road and did bike rides, did a bike class, or even set up at intersections, and they all had different experiences. So I'm already thinking, hey, can we do street story with this with the celebration now? But anyways, but yeah, basically, you know, we want to just basically bring everybody back and kind of, you know, we have a lot of activities coming up that we want to share about that, and want to build on everybody's knowledge and experience from participating in all our activities and see what that kind of forward path looks like as we kind of head into the fall season. So please put it in your calendar. We'll send you also some updates as well by email, but May 6th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. You can email Dorian again for that link, but we will also follow up with you on all of that RSVP stuff as well. So yeah, follow us if you already don't follow us on Instagram, SA Active Streets. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and also Facebook. And so if you want to learn about different kind of programs coming up, check out our website. We have our events page. We regularly update it. So please feel free to keep up to date with us. But I guess with that.
Can we take a picture?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jara. Thank you for Garrett for coming out and sharing this awesome tool. So, but yeah, if any other questions, I'm assuming not.
Quick question.
Thank you for having us.
Will we get a copy of the video or the presentation with the email addresses so I can forward to the other person?
Yeah, so we're gonna try to reach out to folks who weren't able to. We got some messages saying like, "Oh, we couldn't make it today," so we'll be sharing at least the video. But like I said, you know, we can maybe see we can do future trainings as well too. So if they want to join on again, if there's interest, then maybe we can set this up again. But yeah, but yeah, we'll share out the recording as we follow up with folks.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and thank you all for joining.
Bye. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.